Stay there and think about what you've done, you lousy wife.
After those words, I couldn't hear Matt's or his parents' voices anymore. In the pitch-black basement, the only light was from my smartphone. I didn't even know how much longer its battery would last. At that moment, all I felt was despair, unable to move. What should I do? At this rate, even my baby. I couldn't protect my precious baby in my belly, and I couldn't stop crying out of guilt. Then, I heard a notification sound from my phone. Please help me. I answered the call, clutching onto the slightest hope. 1 week later,
Oh, that was fun.
Matt and his parents returned from their trip to Hawaii. They walked into the house with satisfied smiles. As his mother went to put away their luggage,
Oh, what's that smell?
she noticed an unpleasant odor coming from the basement. At first, she didn't know what the smell was.
Could it be the smell of something rotten?
Realizing what it was, she hurried to the basement. Matt and his father, wondering what was going on, followed her. Matt's mother opened the basement door and cautiously peeked inside. My name is Sarah Carter, a 28-year-old working mom. I grew up in a family of 3, my younger brother Nate, who is single, and my mother, who passed away a few years ago. Our father died in a car accident when Nate was little. Our mother was incredibly strong.
I may not have much time for you because of work, but I'll make sure you never suffer.
She said this and worked from early morning till late at night. Sometimes she would juggle multiple jobs, working herself to the bone to raise us. Mom, here's my pay from my part-time job. Please use it for the household. I was always worried she might collapse one day. So, to help out as much as I could, I gave her all my earnings from my part-time job. At first, she would say, "No, it's fine," but reluctantly accepted when I insisted. However, she never used it for the household.
This is your hard-earned money. Use it for yourself.
She saved all of it instead. When I entered college, she gave it all to me. Thanks to her, I had a stress-free college life.
Seeing you two happy is my greatest joy.
She always said that and was always thinking of us. That kind and strong mother of mine passed away from illness just after I started working.
I'll protect you from now on, sis.
Nate declared at our mom's funeral. He grew up strong and kind, much like our mother.
I want to be just like Mom.
He studied hard and achieved his dreams. I'm so proud of him. Nate and another person helped me overcome my grief and look forward again. That other person is my husband, Matt.
Are you okay? You look down. I'm here if you want to talk.
Matt was originally a senior colleague at our company. We were just coworkers. His sudden approach surprised me, but his frequent kind words and willingness to listen gradually drew me to him.
I'll be by your side. I promise to make you happy.
He asked me out, and we started dating. After several years together, we decided to get married.
Congrats, sis. I'm sure Dad and Mom in heaven are blessing you too.
Nate said, celebrating our marriage. Matt's parents also said, think of us as your real parents from now on, which made me really happy. Surrounded by kind family, I felt fortunate. I truly believed that until we got married.
If you don't mind, Sarah, how about living with my parents?
Huh?
We're getting married anyway, and it's a waste to keep paying rent.
Nate and I moved out of our family home when we went to college. After Mom passed away, we hesitated a bit, but eventually sold the house. I'm okay with living together.
Thank you, Sarah.
Back then, Matt's parents, Mark and Karen, were very kind to me, so I decided to live with them before the wedding. Mark and Karen welcomed me and always treated me kindly. However, there was one person who was cold towards me.
What? I didn't know we were living together.
That was Matt's sister, Laura. She ignored me when I greeted her and treated me as if I didn't exist.
I'm sorry about my daughter.
She's probably upset she wasn't informed.
Mark and Karen apologized for her behavior many times. In response, I always said, "It's okay," but I felt something was off. Laura's gaze towards me was almost pitiful. Even when I tried to talk to her, she avoided me. And I never got a chance to understand her feelings. Can I really handle this marriage with things like this? I often worried but believed we would eventually understand each other. With such kind people like Matt and his parents, Laura couldn't be a bad person. I thought naively, but I was wrong.
Now she can't escape.
Yeah. It was worth putting up with everything until now.
After the wedding, Matt's parents completely changed. They started ordering me around like a slave, saying, "Cook, clean, pull the weeds in the garden," and more.
A wife's money belongs to her husband's family. Hand over your bank book.
Yeah, we'll make good use of that money.
They tried to take my bank book from me. I immediately talked to Matt about it.
My parents would never do that.
He dismissed me coldly. With my in-laws' attitudes, the thought of divorce crossed my mind. But I had no home to return to, and Nate was busy with work. I didn't want to bother Nate, who was working hard for his dreams. My co-workers would likely trust Matt, who had been with the company longer than I had. I couldn't talk to anyone and was left struggling alone.
Sarah, I did the laundry for you, so please take a break.
Laura reached out to me, exhausted from juggling work and household chores. She secretly helped me whenever Matt's parents weren't around. While I cooked under Karen's watchful eye, she would do other chores. When I reluctantly dealt with Mark, she would subtly intervene to end the conversation.
You're really an incompetent wife.
Good thing you have Matt. No one else would want to take in a lousy wife like you.
When my in-laws mocked me like that,
Don't pay attention to what they say. You're doing great every day, Sarah. You're an amazing person.
Laura always stood up for me and encouraged me. Without Laura, my spirit would have been broken long ago. Grateful for her, I wondered why she was so kind to me. Why do you go to such lengths for me?
What you're going through is what I went through.
After making sure my in-laws were asleep, I approached Laura. What she told me was shocking.
My brother and parents are horrible people. They believe that women should obey their family and think it's okay to treat them like slaves.
Because of this, Laura had suffered a lot over the years. Even though Karen was also a daughter-in-law, she managed to avoid such treatment by skillfully navigating her position and receiving substantial support from her own family.
I wanted to help you escape, but they made sure you could never get away.
My in-laws kept a close watch on Laura to prevent her from telling me anything. Unable to give me advice, she had acted cold as her only form of resistance. I see. I'm sorry for misunderstanding. I always thought you hated me.
Oh no, I'm sorry for not being able to protect you.
Laura said, looking genuinely sorry. She was truly kind-hearted. She shouldn't be in such a place. As I thought about discussing our future plans,
Oh, you're still up.
Matt woke up and I had to abandon the idea. Seeing Matt tilt his head in confusion at us, I brushed him off and started thinking about the future. What should I do now? I knew I had to find a way to get out of this house. Just then,
Congratulations.
what? Feeling unwell, I went to the doctor and found out I was pregnant. I was very happy about the baby. However, being pregnant meant I would be limited in what I could do. The first person I contacted was Laura.
Pregnancy is something to celebrate, but
I understood what she meant. Maybe I should run away, but Matt had followed me to the hospital, insisting on driving me, and I couldn't just leave Laura behind. As I was pondering what to do,
Is it true that you're pregnant?
I heard Karen's voice on the other end of the phone, and I immediately thought, oh no. Laura must have thought the same.
Mom, were you listening to our conversation?
Laura's panicked voice echoed. Of all people, Karen found out. Karen shares even the smallest things with Mark and Matt. So they would soon know too.
Mom called. Honestly, you should have told me first.
Resigned, I left the hospital to be greeted by Matt's beaming smile. Holding his hand, I returned to his parents' house with mixed feelings.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Well done. We finally have a grandchild.
My in-laws welcomed me with smiles. It was hard to believe these were the same people who had ordered me around and insulted me. I glanced at Laura, who stood behind them. Her eyes said, "You won't escape now." After that, I experienced a brief period of peace.
Take it easy. Don't overdo it.
Matt was kinder than ever and always looked out for me. Knowing how severe my morning sickness was, he arranged for me to start maternity leave early.
I'll handle the laundry.
I'll do the cleaning, Sarah. You should rest.
My in-laws took over the housework and allowed me to rest while suffering from morning sickness. The one who bore the brunt of it was Laura.
You can't even get married, let alone get pregnant. The least you can do is work and contribute to us.
While I lay down, I heard Karen bossing Laura around. Now it was my turn to help her. I tried to get up, but
Please rest, Sarah. Don't worry about me.
Laura refused my help.
More importantly, do you know the gender?
No, it's still too early to tell. She seemed to be thinking about something after my response. When I asked her what was wrong, she said, "I can't be sure, but..."
If the baby is a girl, it could be bad.
She frowned as she said that. I understood what she meant 5 months into my pregnancy.
Do you know the baby's gender?
Yes, it's a girl.
A girl.
Karen suddenly screamed, interrupting me.
This is terrible.
Not only Karen, but also Mark started yelling. Confused, I looked at Matt. He was frowning too. And then I remembered what Laura had told me. Right in this house.
We only accept male grandchildren.
Girls had no value.
How could you be pregnant with a girl, you useless woman?
You've really let us down.
My in-laws insulted me. Matt didn't help. Instead, he glared at me.
You've really disappointed me, Sarah.
His words blamed me. After that, I returned to my life as a slave. Even while pregnant, they ordered me around.
Sarah, I'll do it. Please sit down.
The only difference this time was that Laura actively helped me. But that seemed to irritate my in-laws. Hey, where's Laura? One day, after returning from a checkup, Laura was nowhere to be seen. Worried about the only ally I had, I asked about her.
We kicked that useless girl out.
That was the reply I got. Apparently, they took advantage of my absence to throw Laura out with nothing but the clothes on her back. I held back my urge to contact her immediately and waited until my in-laws were asleep to reach out. Laura, are you okay?
I'm fine. I managed to grab my phone and wallet before they kicked me out.
She was staying at a nearby internet cafe for now. However, she couldn't stay there forever. I have a brother. If you mention my name, he'll take you in. I told her to seek help from Nate. I wish I could contact Nate, but his contact information on my phone had disappeared. It seems someone in the family deleted it while I was in the bath. I quickly gave her Nate's workplace and name and hung up before I could be interrupted. Since then, I've been trying to protect my unborn child while surviving in a hostile household. Since that day, I've been constantly monitored and my phone is checked, so I can't contact anyone. I have no idea what's happening with Laura.
Lousy wife. If you don't want your belly kicked, clean the basement.
One day, I was ordered to clean the basement. I didn't want to accept it, but today the whole family was present. If I resisted, they might actually harm my baby. So reluctantly, I headed to the basement.
What are you waiting for? Get moving.
It was dark inside, and I cautiously descended the basement stairs, relying on the light from above. Just as I reached the bottom step, what? The light from above disappeared, and I looked up in a panic. The basement door was tightly shut. Hey, what are you doing? Open the door.
A perfect place for a worthless wife.
I was trapped in the pitch black space, shouting loudly, but the response was mocking. This isn't funny, even as a joke.
Shut up. We're going on a week-long trip to Hawaii. Reflect on your disrespect towards us while you're down there.
Yeah, and apologize for getting pregnant with a girl.
I could hear the laughter of my in-laws from the other side of the door. Matt's laugh was mixed in as well.
Stay there and think about what you've done, you lousy wife.
After those words, I couldn't hear Matt's or his parents' voices anymore. In the pitch black basement, the only light was from my smartphone. I didn't even know how much longer its battery would last. At that moment, all I felt was despair, unable to move. What should I do? At this rate, even my baby. My precious child inside me. I couldn't protect her, and I couldn't stop crying from guilt. Then I heard a notification sound from my phone. Please help me. I answered the call, clinging to a glimmer of hope. All I could think about was my unborn child. For her sake, I had to get out of here. That was all I focused on as I started to move. A week later,
Oh, that was fun.
Matt and his family returned from their trip to Hawaii. They entered the house with satisfied smiles. As Karen went to put away their luggage,
Oh, what's that smell?
she noticed an unpleasant odor coming from the basement. At first, she didn't know what it was.
Could it be the smell of something rotting?
Realizing what the smell was, Karen hurried to the basement. Matt and Mark followed, wondering what was happening. Karen opened the basement door and cautiously looked inside.
What is this?
Karen screamed at the sight of the basement. Hearing her scream, those of us hiding in a nearby room moved. There, we saw Karen sitting down in shock, with Mark and Matt standing stunned.
Sarah, Anne,
Matt's gaze turned towards us, and he shouted upon seeing us. His voice made my in-laws turn towards us as well.
What is going on?
Karen, not noticing the person behind me, yelled. The basement was filled with rotten eggs. The eggs were causing the foul smell.
What have you done?
As Karen moved towards me, Nate and Laura stepped in front of me, blocking her. Finally noticing them, Karen stopped.
It's been a while since the wedding. By the way, don't you notice anything about my sister?
With a cold look, Nate asked, making Matt and his parents look closely at me. They looked shocked.
your belly. Could it be?
Yes, my belly, which had grown due to pregnancy, was now flat. Matt realized what it meant, and I gave him a bright smile. Yes, after you locked me in the basement, my water broke, and I gave birth. A week ago, Laura had contacted me on my phone. Having safely met up with Nate, she now moved to get me out. She found out I was trapped in the basement and rushed to help me. Fortunately, Laura knew where the basement door and key were and, with Nate's help, managed to open it. As soon as I escaped, my water broke. They called an ambulance right away, and I safely delivered my babies at the hospital.
My babies?
I explained, and Matt murmured in confusion. Yes, that's right. I'm having twins, a girl and a boy. My in-laws' eyes widened in surprise. It turned out that one of the twins was a boy, just as they had wanted. When I told them this, they were stunned. Then,
Well done.
Now we have an heir.
what? A few seconds later, my in-laws were overjoyed. I felt nothing but disgust toward them. What are you talking about? They are my precious children. I won't let them be this family's heirs.
What are you saying?
Matt glared at me. I handed him the divorce papers. Matt froze.
Matt, this is perfect. We don't need a lousy wife like her.
That's right. Just take the heir and divorce her.
My in-laws urged Matt, but he didn't respond. He silently stared at the completed divorce papers.
I won't give up custody of either of them. My sister has our best lawyer on her side.
A lawyer?
Yes. I'm a lawyer. I won't show any mercy for my sister or Laura.
Nate glared coldly at them as he said this.
Let's go, Sarah.
Laura, also glaring at my in-laws, urged me to leave.
You'll regret this.
Nate said as we left the house together. After that, I headed to the hospital. I'm sorry for making you wait, my babies. My children were still at the hospital. I had consulted with the hospital, and they kindly agreed to take care of them for me.
All right, let's go.
I then took my children to the law firm where Nate worked.
We've been expecting you. Thank you for coming.
As I entered, Mr. Kevin Brown, who was handling my case, greeted me with a smile. Kevin looked at my children and softened, saying, "They're adorable." Thank you.
They truly are. They look just like you, Sarah.
I thanked him and started discussing what needed to be done next. Of course, the discussion was about the divorce, child support, and alimony. Just then, Matt called me.
Put it on speaker.
Following Kevin's instruction, I answered the call.
I'm really sorry. I don't want to break up with you. Let's start over.
I mentally replied with, huh? What on earth is he talking about? I'm not interested in starting over. I don't want to stay with someone who locked his pregnant wife in a basement and went to Hawaii.
I couldn't go against my parents. I had no choice.
No choice? You were laughing along with them, weren't you? The sound of laughter I heard at that time. I still can't forget the shock I felt when I heard it.
What do you mean by it can't be helped? What you did was a clear crime.
At that moment, Nate calmly stated this. They probably didn't expect to hear another man's voice besides Nate's.
Who are you?
Matt's angry voice echoed.
I'm Sarah's attorney. I've also heard from my colleague, Sarah's brother. From now on, I'll be representing her and dealing with you.
After saying that, Nick took a deep breath. Then he directed a sharp gaze at the phone.
Let me speak to you as an individual. What you did was utterly disgraceful. You treated your family like slaves, neglected them, and went on a trip to Hawaii while your pregnant wife was suffering? Have you no shame?
Nick's clear statement made him seem incredibly reliable.
Oh, and from now on, I will also be representing Laura. So refrain from contacting her. We will show no mercy to a despicable family like yours.
Adding to Nick's words, Nate also spoke up. Matt fell silent and the call was ended. Looking at the two lawyers with Laura.
Leave it to us.
We will make sure they pay for their crimes.
They nodded with reassuring smiles. Seeing them, we felt confident in leaving everything in their hands. Thanks to Nick's efforts, I divorced Matt without ever having to see him again. I received custody and child support for the twins, along with a substantial amount of alimony from everyone except Laura.
I'm truly sorry. Please reconsider.
Messages like this from Matt kept coming, but I completely ignored them. Ignoring him was likely the most painful thing for him. He hated being ignored and always tried to draw attention to himself when we were dating.
Please don't ignore me.
His tearful voice was recorded on my voicemail. But I ignored it and ensured I got what I deserved. As a result, Matt's family ended up with a massive debt. Just when I thought it was all finally over, a coworker contacted me.
Sarah, there are some things being said about you at the office.
It seems Matt has been spreading various rumors about me at work. He's been saying I abandoned my duties as a wife and ran away with my kids to be with another man. Hearing the details, I immediately contacted Nick.
This is really bad. Let's prepare to sue for defamation right away.
So I decided to sue him. I also vented to my coworkers about the truth of the situation.
That's unbelievable. He's the one at fault, yet he's using your maternity leave to spread lies.
I wonder why I fell for him.
Maybe he calculated everything and approached you on purpose.
Hearing this, I couldn't help but agree. He probably took advantage of my grief over losing my mother. He might have also exploited the fact that I had no family home to return to.
For now, I'll clear up the misunderstandings at work.
My coworker followed through on that promise. Matt ended up with even more debt due to a defamation lawsuit and eventually quit his job due to the stigma from others. Apparently, my in-laws also felt ashamed. When the ambulance came that day, the neighbors came out to see what was going on.
I told them everything about what we had been through without hiding anything.
As a result, they became the subject of neighborhood gossip. Though my in-laws tried to explain, no one listened. They're supposed to be working to pay the alimony, but they've been hiding at home. That house was kept clean by Laura and me. Now without us, it's in disarray, and the neighborhood kids call it the haunted house. That's what happens when you only think about yourself without considering the consequences. While thinking about this, Nate and Laura came back home. Currently, Laura and I are staying with Nate. I don't have a family home to rely on, but with Nate and Laura actively helping with the twins, I can take care of them more easily and comfortably than when I was with my in-laws.
Sis, here. The office staff sent this for the twins.
Thank you. Please let them know I really appreciate it. The staff at the law firm have experience with children. Their advice has been incredibly helpful.
Sis, we have something important to tell you.
We wanted to inform you first, Sarah.
With serious expressions, they began to speak. I straightened up and listened.
We've decided to date with marriage in mind.
They announced. Apparently, Laura was drawn to Nate's efforts to help, and Nate had fallen for her at first sight. Recently, they confirmed their feelings for each other and started dating with the intention of marriage. Congratulations to both of you. I'm looking forward to having Laura as my sister. I sincerely congratulated them. Nate had never dated anyone before. Laura had been too overwhelmed by her parents to think about dating. I'm truly happy to see them together and happy.
I was always called useless since I was little. I was forced to do all the housework.
Laura began to speak, looking into the distance as if recalling the past.
I wasn't even allowed to leave the house except for shopping.
Despite this, Laura started working from home to escape. When her work started to gain traction, her parents found out. They took all her earnings.
I had given up. I thought I'd never be free, never be happy. Then you came along, Sarah.
What?
I wanted to help you, Sarah, and that was the first time I had the resolve to stand up to my family.
Until then, she had always followed her family's orders. But with my presence, she found the courage to resist and act more assertively. Ultimately, she achieved the freedom she had once given up on.
It's all thanks to you, Sarah. Because you came, I met someone as wonderful as Nate. I can't thank you enough.
Laura smiled through her tears as she said this. Crying, I smiled back and said, "Thank you too." Having brought my in-laws to their downfall, I vowed to attain a happiness they could only envy. Seeing Laura's smile, which my in-laws could never bring out, was the first step. A few days later, I met with Nick at a nearby cafe.
Sorry to call you out. How are the twins?
It's okay. My brother and the office staff are taking care of them. I couldn't help but laugh at him talking to me politely. Really, don't worry about it. I wanted to thank you in the first place. Nick had helped us a lot with my in-laws, and he always looked out for Nate. That's why I reached out to him to express my gratitude.
In that case, would you like to have dinner with me sometime?
He had replied, leading to our meal together. Honestly, I didn't expect you to ask me out.
Sorry to surprise you. The truth is, I've been attracted to you for a while.
Nick's words took me by surprise. I never thought someone as accomplished as him would have feelings for me.
You might not be ready to think about it now, but if you ever feel like dating again, please consider me.
He spoke earnestly. His sincerity made my heart race. After finishing our meal, we left the cafe together.
Sarah.
I turned around when I heard someone call my name. What is that, Matt? Standing there was a haggard-looking Matt. He walked towards me with a happy expression.
Sarah, I've been looking for you. You only have me, right?
Only him. I might have thought that a while ago, but not anymore. Sorry, but I don't need you anymore.
What?
As soon as I declared this, Nick pulled me close.
I will make her happy. There's no place for you anymore.
Nick said, glaring at Matt. Seeing Nick and me standing together, Matt.
But I have no one but you.
He tried to cling to me. I only found him annoying.
We can still make it work, so please.
If you keep bothering her, I'll call the police.
Nick's words stopped Matt in his tracks. Getting the police involved would be a big problem for him, already drowning in debt.
Damn it. Fine.
He muttered and decided to leave. He turned and walked away slowly. His back looked small and lonely.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have touched you so much since we're not even dating yet.
It's okay. Besides, I was really happy to hear you say that. Nick blushed but smiled at my words. Seeing his expression made me realize my future was probably already decided. Later, I heard rumors that my ex-in-law's family had fallen apart. Matt was the first to leave. He apparently loved me deeply and disappeared when he realized he couldn't win me back. With their main breadwinner gone, my ex-in-laws fell further into debt just to survive. They eventually sold their house and are now living under a bridge, barely getting by. Not that I care anymore. I muttered as I headed toward my beloved children. Time flew by, and the twins turned 5. They run around energetically every day, and Nick and I are always busy keeping up with them.
You're finally getting married, Sarah.
Laura smiled at me, holding her peacefully sleeping son. She married Nate 4 years ago and had her son last year. Today is my and Nick's wedding day.
I'll make sure you and the twins are always happy.
Yes, I believe in you. Let's be happy together. With that promise, we headed to the venue, believing that this time we would find true happiness.